Good morning everyone, MMDA back on the road. Right now they're in Barangay 175 in Caloocan. I can tell you that around 30% of the motorcycle riders here are not wearing helmets. They're mostly hanging them on their elbow. And there is a big problem. The MMDA still don't have tow trucks because their impounding area is still full. I hope they can move some of those vehicles out of the impounding area. Those that have been sitting there for months or years, take them outside of the city and make space. Because many of these riders will not have a driver's license, and then what would they do? How would they ticket them? Anyway, they're just doing the coordination now with the barangay. Once that paperwork's signed, they can start apprehending people. So the operation's about to start now. Furio's reminding the barangay, make sure you also wear your helmets, because if we see you riding without them, we're going to have to apprehend you, because the same rules apply to everybody. And Furio just said if they capture people without license, they're to bring the vehicle here to the barangay, and it will be held here since their impound lot is full at the moment. So they just stopped this bike, mummy, daddy, child, no helmet. And this lady here also no helmet. And over here they stopped this gentleman, no helmet. And over here they're issuing tickets to illegally parked motorcycles at the Barangay. And it's not just MMDA issuing the tickets, there's also the Barangay Traffic Management Office and the city traffic enforcers. Over here is one more gentleman, they've stopped riding without helmet. And two more enforcers over here issuing tickets, same thing, riding without helmet. And over here they stopped one more bike, no helmet, and a little boy standing on the front. And over here they're issuing one more ticket, no helmet. The guy is refusing to sign the ticket, which is a little bit frustrating. Over here they just issued two more tickets, again riding without helmets. Although there's a lot of motorcycle riders in this area without helmets, I have to say most of the sidewalks that we've driven past have been clear. Even in front of the markets and vendor stores and places like that, they're not on the sidewalk. And two more tickets being issued over here, again no helmets and dress code slippers. And they just stopped this bike here, both the driver and passenger without helmet. I'm guessing this bike isn't registered because you'll notice the headlights missing, some of the body's missing, there's no wing mirrors, riding in slippers plus no helmet, and can't show a license unfortunately. And over here they flagged down one more motorcycle, and a lady on the back of this one no helmet, but they'll catch her up ahead. There's enforcers spread out everywhere. And over here one more ticket being issued. Over here they just stopped another motorcycle rider, daddy, mummy, little baby, no driver's license. Since that driver didn't have a license, they've turned it over to the barangay, and they are the ones that are writing out the ticket. They're then going to turn the bike and the ticket over to City Hall, where it'll be impounded, since the MMDA don't have any impound space at the moment. So the result is the same, he's being ticketed and the bike is being impounded, but it's the city and the barangay that would deal with it, not the MMDA. Over here one more ticket being issued, again dress code violation of slippers and not wearing a crash helmet. And one more stopped over here. It's unlimited, every 5 seconds there's another bike being pulled over. And one more ticket being issued over here. Thankfully the driver does have a license, it makes the whole process a lot faster. And they stopped this motorcycle here, young lady on the back, no helmet, driver has a helmet though. And over here one more ticket, no helmet, does have a driver's license. And one more bike stopped over here, again no helmet, dress code slippers, no plate on the back, but hopefully he has a driver's license. Yeah, he does have a license, so they can issue a ticket, advise him to push the bike. And another one over here, you already know the reason, ticket being issued by the barangay. And over here they stopped this gentleman riding without helmet. Unfortunately he doesn't have a license, only a student permit. And over here they stopped this older gentleman for riding without helmet. Unfortunately his driver's license is expired. Now of course there could be a reason why he wasn't able to renew it. Maybe his eyesight isn't as good anymore, or he's not stable on his feet, or maybe he just didn't have time. But for whatever reason, it's considered as driving with no license or driving with invalid license. And over here they're flagging this one down, excess passenger, no helmet. The driver's arguing that a child shouldn't count as an excess passenger, but it does. Unfortunately, a few people recently have said, hey, that's not right, children don't count as a passenger. I don't know what they're thinking or how they got their license. And this gentleman in white here can't show a license, so they'll hand that over to the barangay. And over here they just stopped this one, both the driver, passenger, no helmet unfortunately. And over here they stopped this one, daddy, little boy, no helmet. And one more ticket over here, older gentleman, older lady, no helmet. And over here they're issuing a ticket to this lady. She has a rain cover but no helmet, so they're just issuing a ticket then send her on her way. And over here they're issuing one more ticket to this gentleman riding his motorcycle without crash helmet. And one more rider, they stopped here, lady on the back, no helmet. As long as he has a license it would just be a ticket. And one more over here, unfortunately wearing his helmet on his elbow instead of his head. So that is our 1,500 peso mistake. And another one over here, lady back rider, no helmet. And 2 more motorcycles stopped over here, same thing, no helmets. One of the problems the guys are starting to run into is they're running out of tickets. So that's 1 peso worth of water. And although I've seen paid water before, this is the first time I've seen it integrated into the dispenser itself. It's 1 peso, and that gets you roughly, we're estimating around 200 ml, maybe 250 ml. I wish these were installed in every 7-Eleven, mini stop and places like that, so that people would refill instead of having to buy a new bottle of water every time. And over here 1 more rider stopped, no helmet unfortunately. Although there is a helmet, it's just hanging there instead of on his head. And 1 more rider stopped here, unfortunately no helmet. And over here the local enforcer stopped this tricycle. Unfortunately there's no plate number, there's no driver's license, there's no ORCR, so they're telling him now it will be impounded. And they just stopped this rider, same issue. Oh, there you go. Not only no helmet, but also can't show a license, so they've turned it over to the Barangay. And 1 more motorcycle stopped over here, no helmet. Unfortunately can't show a license either, so he's also handed over to the Barangay. And they just stopped this bike here, lady on the back, no helmet. And over here the local enforcer flagged over this rider. He's wearing slippers, which is a dress code violation. And the local enforcer just flagged down this man, unfortunately no helmet, wearing slippers. They've moved to a slightly different location, but it is nearby. And they just stopped 3 more riders without helmets, this one here and 2 more riding behind. I think they were all riding together by the looks of it. And over here 1 more ticket being issued, no helmet. And they flagged over this lady here. She says she already has a ticket. It's possible, but if you're ticketed for riding with no helmet, you're meant to push the bike instead of continue riding it. And over here one of the locals is issuing a ticket to this gentleman riding without helmet. They tried to flag this one down further along the road, didn't stop, so you saw how 5 minutes went around the front. He came around the back and managed to block it off. I'm not saying that they were trying to run, but they always have to take precaution for when they believe people aren't stopping. And they stopped this bike over here, both elderly, a lot more vulnerable if they get involved in an accident, so they really need helmets. A helmet won't always save your life, but a lot of the time it will. And 1 more rider stopped over here. He's wearing a rag on his head instead of a helmet. This one managed to sneak past the MMDA. Actually not sneak past, they just didn't stop, but the Barangay stopped them further along. This might be the best operation I've ever seen with a Barangay, where they've been so active and helping so much. And 1 more ticket being issued over here. Young driver, passenger, no helmet. Earlier this morning I was thinking maybe the Barangay just aren't issuing any tickets ever, but when I've seen them in action, they're quick. They obviously have experience. Maybe the problem's just too big compared to how many enforcers are here. And over here they're issuing 1 more ticket to the gentleman in green. Unfortunately no helmet. He actually pulled straight into the operation. They didn't even have to flag him over. And they just flagged over this older gentleman. Unfortunately no helmet. Over here they just stopped this gentleman, unfortunately not wearing a helmet. And some of the riders have chased after other motorcycles that went down that way, no helmet also. And over here 1 more ticket being written out by the locals for a back rider, no helmet, and driver wearing slippers. And they just stopped this rider here, unfortunately no helmet and wearing slippers. Told him to turn the bike off because they've had a few people in this area run away from them. And over here is one of the riders that they chased down. They brought him back, can't show a license, so they've turned it over to the Barangay. And over here they're issuing another ticket, unfortunately mummy and child, no helmets. And over here 1 more bike they stopped, unfortunately back rider, no helmet. And on my left here you'll see 2 police officers who are escorting the operation, keeping an eye on everyone, making sure that they're safe, there's peace and order. So that's always useful for every operation. And over here 1 more ticket for riding without helmet and slippers. And 1 more over here, same reason. And 1 more stopped over here, unfortunately no helmet. Does have a license, so it will just be a ticket. And over here one of the locals issuing a ticket to a lady rider, no helmet. And one of the enforcers just flagged this gentleman over, again no helmet unfortunately. This guy's going pretty fast considering he's got a little girl on the back without helmet. Anyway, they flagged him over and they'll be issuing a ticket now. And 2 more bikes being ticketed over here. Driver, passenger, no helmet, and passenger, no helmet. And over here one of the locals is issuing a ticket for the young girl on the back without a helmet. And if you see all these motorcycles here at the Barangay Hall, these are all the ones that were impounded. And over here just in front of the Barangay Hall they're issuing a ticket to this gentleman. Unfortunately he was holding his helmet instead of wearing it. This guy here is rushing to turn his bike around because he's seen what's happening up ahead. And actually this time it's the PMP that flagged him over. And over here 1 more bike stop by the PMP. 2 riders, no helmets. They stopped this bike, 4 people, 2 parents, 2 children. So that'll be excess passenger plus no helmets. And over here, one more enforcer that's down to his last ticket. So that's a whole book finished. One more ticket being issued here for no helmet. It does have a license, so it's just a ticket. And over here, they're flagging down 2 motorcycles. It's unlimited, really unlimited. They could just stay here all day. And actually, the Barangay are coming in now. They're going to impound this. No driver's license, only a student permit. Student permit allows you to learn under the supervision of a license holder, not drive around by yourself. And they just flagged over one more rider now, unfortunately no helmet. The funny thing with this rider is he looked at the team and he was going to turn away to escape, and then he came forward anyway and he's been apprehended. Unfortunately, he said he doesn't have a license, there's no plate on the bike, so that'll be another one turned over to the Barangay. Sometimes people were saying enforcers pick on motorcycle riders, but that's not really the case. It's just that a lot of them don't follow the rules, and many of them never even got a driver's license. They just bought a bike and started riding around. They don't know the rules of the road, they don't wear the helmet, and if they get in an accident, they don't stop. They will run away because they don't have a license anyway. They don't have a plate on their bike. And this isn't bad for motorcycle riders, this is good for motorcycle riders. You remove the camotes and the whole motorcycle riding community gets a better reputation. So when you see this, be happy because they're removing the bad riders and keeping the good riders. One more rider flagged down over here, unfortunately no helmet. And one more over here, flagged over, no helmet. And one more rider flagged over here, no helmet and driving his slippers. But he does have a license, they just saw him pull it out of the box. And over here, one more bike being ticketed, both the driver and passenger, no helmet. And over here, they flagged down this gentleman. Unfortunately, he also can't show a license, so they're advising him now to push it into the Barangay where it's going to be impounded. Oh look, right behind him, there's a motorcycle helmet hanging on the back. And over here, they stop one more motorcycle, driver, passenger, no helmet. And one more rider being ticketed over here, both the driver and passenger without helmets. Over here, one more rider stopped, no helmet, unfortunately. And 2 more riders being ticketed over here. Thankfully, they do have driver's licenses. You'll see in the background so many riders turning off once they see the operation. Over here, they just flagged down this gentleman, unfortunately no helmet, does have a license. And one more flagged over here, no helmet. One more bike here, a little baby on the front, plus mummy, daddy, none of them have any helmets. And one more flagged over here, unfortunately no helmet. They just stopped this motorcycle here. The policeman actually got a little bit angry because they didn't immediately stop. No license, impound. When the driver opened his compartment, the plate is inside. So driving around without a plate, what could they be doing? Rope, tools? Well, I don't want to suggest anything, but there's also a registration document inside, but it lists a different license plate. So again, very questionable. They found what they believe might be shabu. The guy tried to push his way out, so they've just restrained him temporarily. Should not resist because they're just enforcing the law. Those 2 are now in very big trouble. What started with not wearing a helmet has now turned into something else. And why has he got that money in his hand? Was he trying to give it to the police officer? I'm not sure, but they're being taken away now. When the driver opened his compartment, the plate is inside. So driving around without a plate, what could they be doing? Rope, tools? Well, they've now transferred to another barangay still inside Caloocan, and they've stopped this gentleman here. Big bag of rice but no helmet. And to be specific, they're in Barangay 164. They're just coordinating with the barangay now. They have a e-trike. This is from BMAC. They've got the emergency lights on top. And that's good timing. Cobra here, and they're giving free taste to everyone. and they're just handing them out straight from the truck or straight from the van. And over here they're issuing a ticket to this truck parked in the road, and I assume they'll also ticket those two vehicles behind. Apparently it's no parking both sides according to the barangay that are escorting the team around. Apparently this road actually splits between two different barangays, one under the jurisdiction of Caloocan and one under Quezon City. But what the enforcers have said is Metro Manila Development Authority, MMDA. So even if it splits between two different barangay, they're still able to issue tickets if they believe a vehicle is illegally parked. There's been quite a lot of debate from the residents here. They're saying that this portion of the road is actually owned by the factory over there. And well, it's very confusing, to be honest, especially for the enforcers. If they're not from this area, they're relying on what the barangay tell them. If the barangay say, hey, no, this is a public road, you need to ticket these vehicles, they're working from that knowledge. But I don't know, it's confusing here, honestly it is. And over here they're issuing tickets to these two vehicles parked here. They've left the ticket on the windscreen now inside a plastic bag in case it rains. For some reason he's got his license plate behind the windscreen instead of mounted on the front of the car. That in itself could get him an extra violation, but I think the vehicle has to be moving, improper display of license plate, and it's behind a tinted windscreen, so realistically an enforcer would never be able to actually read that. We just caught up with the SCOG team. They're taking down a wall that they believe is obstructing the sidewalk. Looks like they've actually taken down quite a lot of structures, because as we were driving along we saw a lot of walls crushed, demolished, and over here you'll see more demolition that's been done. A lot of the guys said they want to be on the video, so I'll include them. I believe they consider this to be a sidewalk. So Cesar just filled me in on what I missed. They consider this to be a sidewalk, and then when you get this far there's two properties. So they've already put a hole in this one, and they put a hole in these two over here. And now the owners have come out with a sledgehammer and they've offered to self-demolish so that the MMDA can work on different problems in this area. And this guy was actually swinging the sledgehammer a few minutes ago, but I guess he got a little bit tired. But yeah, self-demolition is better. The driver for this vehicle just came back, so the enforcer will ask him to hand over his license so we can issue a ticket. He was actually busy writing out a ticket to this one for illegal parking.